All right, everyone, as Gaza continues to implode, fighting between Hamas and the IDF is ongoing, and a lot of people have started to look away. I guess they got war exhaustion from it, and people's attention span these days, it's like 15 seconds, not 15 minutes like it was when I was a kid, or 15 years back in the feudal days. I remember that time that Jed stole my corn. I still ain't forgiven him. Hundreds of Christians right now, though, are trapped in a specific church in Gaza, which is effectively surrounded by fighting, and they haven't extracted them. The British are looking into it right now, and I was thinking to myself, it's shades of Syria, almost. Do you remember when the Syrian war happened, and the Yazidi were trapped on some hillsides out in the hinterlands over there, and the international community raised a huge stink about it. Oh my God, we've got to extract the Yazidi because these are, a minority within the region. Maybe they'll be persecuted. Certainly, they had been somewhat protected by Assad, but Assad lost control of large swaths of territory, and then ISIS moves in. They were capturing Yazidi women and children and beheading men, and tearing out their hearts and eating them, actually, at one point, which is what caused even Al-Qaeda to not want to work with them. If you're a terrorist group and Al-Qaeda is afraid of you, and the only other group in the whole fucking world that you can get to kind of be on your side is Boko Haram, not exactly fans of human rights either, you know that you've really made your mark on the world. Sort of like being the most brutal cartel in Central America, and none of the other cartels will even help you move your cocaine anymore. And but I was thinking, there's a huge international outcry then. Week-long campaigns and, fundraisers and petitions and protests, save the Yazidi. Who's doing that to help the Christian minority currently surrounded and besieged in Gaza? When people claim that the IDF is a moral army, the other day an Israeli sniper killed a couple of Christians, actually. And apparently that's been sort of swept under the rug. Hamas aren't really fans of Christians. Christians do exist in Palestine, but Hamas specifically is not a fan of having even other people of the book, as they call them, living in their area. They want it to be effectively an Islamic state. So these Christians don't really have any allies within the region. Phobia against Christians exists on both sides of the border, by the way. Christian tourists have been spit on and attacked, actually, in Israel. They certainly probably don't want to go to the Gaza Strip. It's a bad idea. I know of some people like extreme tourism, like that Lord Miles dude. I don't think that you want to go to certain places in the world, though. North Korea, Gaza, Turkmenistan, certain Latin American countries run by narco gangs. It's probably not the greatest idea in the world. Boko Haram territory and parts of West and Central Africa. Yeah, you might as well go live among a literal cannibal tribe. You'll probably go further. Go out into the hinterlands of Papua New Guinea and you'll probably meet with less hostility and resistance. Where's the outcry from the international community over, in this one case, several hundred Christians, but overall thousands of them, that are now literally surrounded in a war zone? Where's the international aid for them? I'm not seeing as much about it as I saw for the Yazidi back in the day. I think that that's slightly telling, don't you? I say this as a pagan. I'm not a Christian and I have no special love for Christendom, but there's a little bit of a lopsided standard, I think, being applied in these two different situations. I can't help but think that that might be because you can score more political points when you're talking about the Yazidi than about Christians, especially if it's in a Western nation. Christendom tends to be the majority religion in most Western countries. So when you see Western media and stuff, them talking about that, Christians are not considered persecuted in the West. And so people don't understand there are Christian minorities in other countries that genuinely are. Look at the Christians in China, of which there are a shit ton now. Used to be it was a small movement that was heavily suppressed. Now it's a larger movement that is kinda sorta tolerated by the state as long as you allow the Qigong moderator to come in and talk to the priest and say, okay, here's today's sermon. We're going to avoid these two. You need to submit in writing a week beforehand what you intend to preach, because we're going to have to redact any portions that are harmful to communism, like render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. I don't think probably appears in the average Chinese sermon unless it's being held at midnight in a basement out in the hillside somewhere. This actually happens. There are probably 100 million persecuted Christians in the world, because they're not all in the West. Try being a Christian even if you're like in India. India is a rapidly westernizing nation. known for having a degree of tolerance for religious minorities. But there are still xenophobic attacks there. Christians in parts of Eastern Africa where Islam tends to predominate. Try being a Christian in Sudan, for example. You can imagine, your little church definitely has a shortwave station in it because you got to communicate somehow without being discovered. Otherwise, you get killed. Christians in the West, they think about persecution as they couldn't put up their cross display, or there was a Moloch statue in the Iowa State House or something like that. No, in many parts of the world, you just get killed. Or perhaps enslaved. Or forcibly converted. Of course, you can't force somebody to convert their heart, their mind, but you can force them to adopt the Islamic lifestyle or the atheistic lifestyle, at least outwardly. Of course, in the Chinese case, they don't really care if you believe in Jesus, but you better fucking toe the line. Don't act too Jesus-like. Giving away all of your goods to the poor, oh yeah, the Chi-Coms definitely, they countenance that probably. We wouldn't have a problem with it. That's about all. Peace out.